Disturbing new details in the murder case against the singer David.
Incredibly gruesome details about the murder case against the singer.
On September 8th, 2025, workers at a Hollywood Hills impound lot made a horrifying discovery. Inside the front trunk of a Tesla, they found the dismembered body of a 14-year-old girl. The car was registered to a rising music star, D4vd, whose songs had gone viral online. How could a teenager from Lake Elsinore, California, end up in the possession of a famous singer? And why did this tragedy go unnoticed for so long? Today, we'll examine the full timeline, the evidence, and the shocking allegations surrounding D4vd and Celeste Rivas Hernandez. This story is based entirely on verified reports, court documents, and police statements, so what follows is factual, detailed, and chronological. David Anthony Burke, professionally known as D4vd, was born on March 28, 2005, in Queens, New York, and spent most of his childhood in Houston, Texas. From a young age, David was fascinated by music and online fame. Unlike many aspiring musicians who grow up performing locally or attending music schools, David's path to success was almost entirely digital. By the age of 16, he was recording songs in a makeshift studio built in his sister's closet, uploading his early tracks to social media platforms, and experimenting with a combination of musical and visual storytelling. In 2022, D4vd's career began to rise dramatically when one of his songs went viral on TikTok, gaining millions of views in a matter of weeks. His rise was rapid. His blend of indie pop and emotional lyricism resonated with a generation growing up online. At this point, D4vd was still a teenager, navigating fame, fans, and the increasing complexity of managing an online persona. TikTok, Discord, and YouTube became central not just to his career but to his social life, creating opportunities for interaction with a wide audience, including minors. It was during this period, in January 2022, that David allegedly met Celeste Rivas Hernandez, an 11-year-old girl from Lake Elsinore, California. Celeste was a middle school student, described by teachers and classmates as intelligent and creative, with a curiosity about digital media and gaming. Reports from law enforcement and court documents indicate that D4vd and Celeste's first interactions were likely through Fortnite streams and a Discord server where David maintained an active presence. These interactions were casual at first, masked as fan engagement and gaming mentorship, but over time they escalated into a more private and personal connection. By late 2021 and early 2022, internet sleuths and later investigators identified patterns suggesting grooming behaviors. Grooming, in this context, refers to the manipulation and coercion of a minor by an adult with the intent of establishing a sexual relationship. Evidence indicates that David consistently maintained private communication channels with Celeste, offering her access to phones, digital accounts, and online communities. According to investigators, these communications intensified over the next year, coinciding with D4vd's rise in fame. By November 2023, Celeste was 13 years old, and D4vd was 18. Law enforcement reports allege that their interactions had become sexual in nature at this time. Family members noted that Celeste's behavior changed. She ran away multiple times, the last time being on April 5, 2024. While she returned home briefly, her ongoing contact with D4vd suggests that the relationship continued despite parental intervention. Investigators later indicated that D4vd provided Celeste with phones and maintained communication through middle school classmates and intermediaries to circumvent parental oversight. Social media activity offers further context. David's TikTok uploads, music releases, and public live streams coincided with significant moments in Celeste's life. Observers have noted lyrics and music video themes that reference intense emotional attachment, jealousy, control, and even threats, which in hindsight correlate with the timeline of Celeste's grooming. While the artistic expression itself does not constitute proof of criminal activity, it aligns with patterns investigators identified in digital evidence, including messages, photos, and private social media interactions. Reports indicate that some of David's earliest songs contained repeated references to controlling or isolating a significant other, beginning around the time he first met Celeste. By 2024, the lyrics, combined with live stream footage, Discord interactions, and photographs, paint a picture of a persistent and increasingly personal engagement with a minor. Observers noted that Celeste occasionally appeared in live stream backgrounds or in videos, prompting questions from fans, which David reportedly dismissed or deflected, sometimes labeling concerned viewers as federal agents or feds in jest. Beyond digital evidence, investigators compiled witness statements indicating that Celeste spent extended periods at D4vd's residences in Los Angeles. She reportedly traveled with him to music studios, parties, and other locations without apparent adult supervision. Allegations suggest that D4vd facilitated her travel, including obtaining identification and passports, enabling her to move between locations with him undetected. Family members, classmates, and even neighbors later confirmed that Celeste was seen regularly at D4vd's properties, though at the time, authorities had limited evidence to intervene. The case also underscores the online grooming environment. Digital platforms like Discord and TikTok allow for private, unmonitored interactions. David's large online following, combined with his rapid rise to fame, created a context in which his interactions with Celeste were initially invisible to parents, educators, and authorities. Investigators later identified multiple points of contact across platforms where D4vd engaged Celeste, tracked by date, content, and context, establishing a timeline of sustained influence and manipulation. Family reports suggest that while Celeste occasionally ran away, she was never permanently removed from her home environment. Parents and guardians were aware of her interactions but struggled to fully prevent contact with D4vd. In some instances, minors reportedly facilitated communication by providing phones or digital access to Celeste on D4vd's behalf. This enabled him to maintain the relationship for over a year, intensifying concerns about grooming and exploitation. By early 2024, authorities began noting the pattern of repeated absences, private communication, and social media content involving Celeste. Although she returned home after initial runaways, her exposure to an adult with significant social influence posed both emotional and physical risks. Investigators later established that digital evidence from D4vd's accounts showed persistent monitoring and involvement, including messages, photos, and evidence of travel coordination. On September 5, 2025, a 2023 Tesla Model X registered to D4vd was towed from a street near his Hollywood Hills residence. The car had been abandoned for days, and neighbors had noticed a foul odor coming from it. The vehicle's location was significant. It was within walking distance of D4vd's rented Hollywood Hills home, a property reportedly leased by his management team but used exclusively by him at the time. Police officers first inspected the Tesla on September 8th, after complaints from impound lot workers about the smell. What they discovered inside the front trunk was horrifying: the dismembered remains of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, whose torso and head were in a black body bag, and her arms and legs placed in a separate plastic bag. Her left ring and pinky fingers had been amputated and were never recovered. Autopsy results later confirmed that Celeste had died from multiple stab wounds with penetrating injuries to the abdomen and chest. Investigators determined that the stabbings were fatal and that she had likely bled out before her body was dismembered. Toxicology screenings showed trace ethanol in her system, likely produced post-mortem during microbial decomposition, with no other substances conclusively detected. Forensic analysis revealed plastic fragments embedded in her remains, matching the blue inflatable pool later recovered from D4vd's garage, suggesting it was used during the dismemberment. Police and prosecutors reconstructed events leading to the murder using digital evidence, witness testimony, and forensic findings. On April 22, 2025, investigators allege that Celeste and D4vd exchanged text messages, reportedly arguing about his relationships with other women. Celeste allegedly threatened to disclose their relationship, which could have destroyed his music career. Just 3 days before D4vd's debut album release, this dispute set the stage for what would become a premeditated crime. On April 23, 2025, D4vd reportedly sent an Uber to pick up Celeste from her home in Lake Elsinore. She was dropped off at his Hollywood Hills residence at approximately 10:10 p.m. 20 minutes later, he sent texts asking where she was, attempting to create the impression she had not arrived. Investigators believe Celeste was already deceased by this time. Later that evening, D4vd drove roughly 100 miles northwest to Santa Barbara County, allegedly disposing of some of her belongings. The exact locations and times suggest careful planning to remove traces while attempting to mask the crime. Following the murder, D4vd made multiple online purchases under a fake name, including May 1, 2025, shovel and 2 chainsaws. May 5, 2025, heavy-duty laundry bags, a body bag, and a blue inflatable pool. July 7, 2025, burn cage. Evidence indicates that the inflatable pool was used during the dismemberment. Investigators later found small blue plastic fragments embedded in Celeste's remains, consistent with pool material. Blood matching Celeste's DNA was recovered in D4vd's garage. It appears that while D4vd took extreme measures to dismember and contain the body, he failed to fully dispose of it, leaving her remains in the Tesla's front trunk. Investigators also examined digital evidence spanning over 40 terabytes, including messages, photos, and video content across TikTok, Discord, Instagram, and iCloud. This material reportedly documented D4vd's ongoing contact with Celeste, social interactions with other minors, and potentially incriminating messages that corroborate the timeline of grooming, coercion, and premeditation. Some messages suggest that D4vd encouraged secrecy and isolated Celeste from other adults, consistent with grooming behavior. Forensic and witness evidence also revealed D4vd's mismanagement of the crime scene. The Tesla, with Celeste's remains in the front trunk, was left unattended for months, allowing for observation by neighbors, impound workers, and the public. Surveillance footage confirmed that D4vd was the last person to drive the vehicle shortly before leaving for a music tour. Investigators recovered Celeste's passport card in Santa Barbara County, supporting the allegation that she traveled internationally and domestically under D4vd's supervision, without proper adult verification or oversight. In addition to physical and digital evidence, several witnesses provided corroborating statements. Classmates reported that D4vd paid intermediaries to supply Celeste with phones for continued contact. Friends of D4vd in the music industry noted her frequent presence at parties, recording studios, and backstage areas, though they were unaware of her age. Investigators also identified prior episodes of runaway behavior, where Celeste returned home briefly before resuming contact with D4vd. Public commentary from social media further illustrates the environment in which the crime occurred. Some online posts, created months before Celeste's disappearance, referenced her name in connection with D4vd, suggesting that others were aware of her relationship with him. Reddit threads, TikTok comments, and Discord messages reflect speculation, warnings, and discussions about the age discrepancy and legal implications. While these posts are not admissible evidence, they provide context on how the relationship was perceived publicly and among minor acquaintances. Authorities allege that D4vd's actions following the murder were deliberate attempts to conceal evidence. Text messages sent to Celeste after her death created a false narrative that she had not arrived at his residence. The trips to Santa Barbara corresponded with locations where her belongings were later recovered, suggesting deliberate disposal. Purchases of specialized equipment indicate premeditation and preparation for body dismemberment. Despite the overwhelming evidence, D4vd remained free for several months after the body was discovered in the Tesla, highlighting investigative complexities. The combination of digital, forensic, and eyewitness evidence ultimately led to his arrest on April 16, 2026, but prior to this, authorities spent extensive time building a comprehensive case to withstand legal scrutiny. Following the shocking discovery of Celeste Rivas Hernandez's remains in the front trunk of D4vd's Tesla in September 2025, authorities worked meticulously to build a case against David Anthony Burke. For months, law enforcement gathered physical evidence, forensic data, and digital records, ensuring the charges could withstand scrutiny in court. Investigators documented every detail, from text message exchanges to social media activity, Amazon orders linked to dismemberment tools, and CCTV footage confirming the Tesla's movements. On April 16, 2026, D4vd was formally arrested on suspicion of murder. Shortly thereafter, prosecutors officially charged him with multiple severe counts: first-degree murder with special circumstances, lewd acts with a minor under 14, and mutilation of human remains. According to Los Angeles County court filings, the special circumstances include allegations that he killed Celeste to prevent her from exposing their sexual relationship and to protect his music career, establishing both premeditation and a financial motive. D4vd pleaded not guilty to all charges. The prosecution presented detailed accounts of his actions leading up to, during, and after the murder. On April 22, 2025, text messages reportedly show an argument between Celeste and D4vd regarding his relationships with other women. Celeste allegedly threatened to reveal their relationship, which could have ended D4vd's career. The next day, April 23, she was picked up by an Uber to D4vd's home. Investigators allege that she was already deceased by the time he sent texts attempting to create the impression that she had not arrived. Subsequent actions provide a chilling look at the premeditated nature of the crime. D4vd allegedly ordered multiple items for body dismemberment and concealment: a shovel and 2 chainsaws, heavy-duty laundry bags and a body bag, a blue inflatable pool, a burn cage, reportedly to incinerate remaining evidence. Forensic analysis confirmed that fragments of the pool material were embedded in Celeste's remains, and blood matching Celeste's DNA was found in D4vd's garage. Authorities also recovered her passport card and some personal belongings in Santa Barbara County, suggesting attempts to move or obscure evidence. Digital evidence was equally damning. Law enforcement reported over 40 terabytes of data, including text messages, images, and videos across platforms like TikTok, Discord, Instagram, and iCloud. This material is alleged to document ongoing communication with Celeste, showing grooming, coercion, and repeated contact that persisted for years. Investigators also found references to other minors, indicating the potential for additional victims, though those cases remain under investigation. The autopsy of Celeste confirmed multiple fatal stab wounds to the abdomen and chest. Her left ring and pinky fingers were amputated, raising questions about the purpose. Investigators speculate it could have been to remove evidence of a tattoo linking her to D4vd. Toxicology results indicated the presence of ethanol, likely produced post-mortem, with no other substances definitively detected. The autopsy ruled her death a homicide, corroborating allegations presented by the prosecution. During the early hearings, D4vd's defense team requested a speedy preliminary hearing, suggesting they wanted the prosecution to present evidence quickly, potentially to assess its strength. However, the court delayed proceedings to allow adequate review of the massive amount of forensic and digital evidence. As of the most recent filings, The preliminary hearing was scheduled for May 26, 2026, with full trial dates expected to take significantly longer due to the case's complexity and the volume of evidence. Legal experts analyzing the case highlight that, if convicted, D4vd faces severe penalties, life imprisonment without parole, or potentially the death penalty, given the nature of the charges. Prosecutors are presenting evidence of premeditation, motive, and calculated attempts to hide the crime, including trips to Santa Barbara, purchases of dismemberment tools, and text messages designed to mislead. Investigators are also exploring the possibility of accomplices who may have assisted in disposing of evidence, although their identities have not yet been publicly disclosed. While D4vd remained free for months following the discovery of Celeste's body, authorities emphasized that this was a deliberate, thorough investigation to ensure a comprehensive case file. Building the case involved collecting and analyzing Tesla GPS and camera data, reviewing social media activity and live stream archives, interviewing witnesses, friends, family, and neighbors, documenting forensic evidence from the garage, pool, and Amazon deliveries. This extensive evidence not only links D4vd to Celeste, but also establishes patterns consistent with grooming, sexual abuse, and premeditation, forming the basis for the prosecution's charges. The case continues to unfold, with court documents revealing additional context. Investigators documented numerous attempts to maintain secrecy, including paying classmates to provide Celeste with phones. Authorities have recovered correspondence and online activity showing repeated manipulation, coercion, and exploitation of a minor. Evidence indicates that D4vd allowed Celeste to travel with him both domestically and internationally, raising further concerns about lack of supervision and accountability. As the investigation continues, the focus remains on ensuring justice for Celeste. Authorities urge the public to respect the gravity of the case, honor the victim, and consider the broader implications of online exploitation. Viewers are reminded that awareness, education, and careful monitoring of online interactions can help prevent tragedies like this. What are your thoughts on how the investigation uncovered D4vd's alleged crimes? How can communities better protect minors from online predators? Share your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to stay updated on developments in this case. Most importantly, let us remember Celeste Rivas Hernandez and the lasting impact of her story, emphasizing awareness and caution in our digital age.